Hello, this is Group 5. Today we are talking about Rashomon. The film tells the story of the rape of a woman and the murder of her samurai husband through the different accounts of 4 witnesses: the bandit, the wife, the deceased samurai, and finally the woodcutter. We divided the whole film into 3 parts, which are in the forest, in the courthouse garden, and under the Rashomon. At the very beginning, the woodcutter, the monk, and the calmer have a conversation while sheltering from the rain under the Rashomon, where the woodcutter claims to have just appeared in court as a witness to the murder of the samurai. The scene then reverts to the courthouse garden, with 4 people involved in the case. The murderer is a bandit, the deceased is a samurai, the wife of the deceased, and the woodcutter who found the body. The film then reverts to the scene of the crime, which is in the forest, according to the recollections of each person. However, as each person tells a different story, so there are 4 versions of the story, and I will now explain and analyze the 4 stories in turn. From the perspective of the bandit, he falls in love with the woman at first sight and wishes to have her, but does not want to harm the samurai, so he sets a trap to tie him up and then allows the samurai to watch his wife being raped by the bandit. But in the end, the wife asks the bandit to fight her husband, and in the end, the bandit kills the samurai in a fierce duel, but the woman escapes. From the woman's point of view, the bandit runs away after insulting her, and the woman runs to rescue her husband, but is met with his cold silence. She is so distraught that she faints. When she wakes up, she finds that her husband has committed suicide, and she intends to do the same, but is unsuccessful. Although the samurai says, the court brings it in a psychic who can speak numbers in summer's life. He says that his wife is in love with the bandit and asks the bandit to kill him. But the bandit takes control of his wife and asks what he can do with her. When his wife accidentally escapes, the bandit lets himself go and escapes too. In the end, the samurai chooses to commit suicide. Let's make it simple. Although 4 stories are different from each other, there are some facts in common by using the black arrows. Firstly, the samurai and the woman are the couple. The bandit kidnapped the samurai and then raped the woman. Now the blue arrow is for the events described by speakers, which means that they may lie at this part. In the story of Bandit, he said he wanted to leave after having sex with a woman, but the woman stopped him and called them to duel for owning her. Finally, he killed him by katana after an intense fight, but the woman ran away, so he also left his horse and took katana. In the story of the woman, the bandit laughed at them and ran away. However, her husband only looked at her coldly and contemptuously. She couldn't accept her husband's hatred and asked her husband to kill her. In the end, she fainted, and her husband was already killed by her dagger after she woke up. Even more, she had multiple failures to commit suicide. Through a psychic, we could hear the story of Samurai. After his wife having sex with Bandit, she fell in love with Bandit and asked him to kill the samurai. Instead of doing so, the bandit wished to kill the woman, but in the end, she escaped by chance. The bandit also left, and the samurai finally committed suicide by his dagger. Finally, the woodcutter admitted that he saw the whole case. After the rape, the bandit asked the woman to be his wife, and the woman wanted a duel between them to decide who can have her. Both the samurai and the bandit were cowardly in the duel, and the bandit was likely able to kill the samurai at the end. But the woman escaped by chance. Through our analysis of the film, we believe that the closest depiction to the truth is that of the woodcutter, followed by the bandit, with the woman and her husband coming in joint third. Firstly, according to this table, the bandit and woodcutter have the longest shots in the narrative, 2 to 3 times as long as the husband and the wife. It can therefore be shown that the bandit and the woodcutter are more impressive to the audience and have a higher degree of reliability. Secondly, by analyzing the testimonies of 4 people, the woodcutter and the bandit both testified that the samurai was killed by the bandit with a sword. However, the samurai said that he killed himself with a dagger, while the wife said that she killed her husband with a dagger. Thus, there is a contradiction in the testimony of the husband and the wife. so the testimony of the woodcutter and bandit is more similar and more reliable. Thirdly, we consider that their emotions as a couple are not genuine because their testimonies are all in their favor and discredit each other. The wife swapping is even more suspicious of seeking sympathy. And then, the strong self-esteem of the bandit is evident in his constant description of his own strength, which raises the doubts about the authenticity of his emotions. Finally, the woodcutter, on the other hand, is a neutral character and therefore more emotionally realistic. Last but not least, we cannot believe that one of them is telling the 100% truth, for each has a reason to tell a lie, such as in the story of the bandit, who shows his bravery, in the story of the woman, who shows her chastity, in the story of the husband, who highlights his wife's betrayal and his reputation, and finally in the story of the woodcutter, who wishes to conceal the fact that he has stolen the dagger. Everyone tends to glorify themselves and therefore to say what is good for them, but at least the woodcutter is not related to the bandit or the couple, and therefore does not need to lie in favor of one of them, and is more reliable than the others. In conclusion, we are more interested in the woodcutter's final confession than the other characters. Firstly, he has a longer screen time, which makes it easier for him to connect with the audience emotionally. Secondly, his testimony is similar to that of the bandit. Thirdly, his emotions are more real because he is a neutral bystander. Fourthly, although he lies about the part where he steals the dagger, he does not have to lie about the rest of the story because he is not associated with the couple or the bandit. And at the end of the film, the sky clears, implying that the truth has been already revealed.